The biggest problem we have in the world today, as I see it, this is my mind, is that we have a problem with the philosophy of our planet. Do we live in a local universe, or do we live in a non-local universe? Do we, as a local universe, that would mean that everything's push-pull, cause/effect. Everything's push and pull. Something has to touch something and something has to do something at some connection. That's the idea of a local universe, a kind of a scientific cohesion of something around here. A non-local universe, in a non-local universe, the power of the mind, things can't affect each other at long distances.
And over many years of trials and many kinds of random devices, the Pear Lab has demonstrated, to a highly significant degree, that the human mind has a small but measurable influence on random physical systems.
A lot of what we've learned about the phenomena tends to be what it's not. What we can say for sure is that the phenomena are real. They are not chance fluctuations. Something is going on. There is a subtle ordering process that is influencing these otherwise random events.
To the extent that one can summarize, what we find is that the human mind and the information processing machines seem to be entering into some sort of a dialogue which influences both the machine and the human mind that is interacting with it.
This machine does 200 flips per second. When left unattended, it performs in a statistically normal way, and over time, it approximates a chance mean of 100. But when an operator is present, wishing for the output to be higher or lower, the output deviates very slightly from the chance expectation. The effect shown on these devices is small. Only a few flips in 10,000 are influenced by the operator. But those few are more than contemporary physics can explain.
And reminds you of their chess movie, doesn't it? We made a movie about chess. See, when you have the rules of chess, in order to play the game, and the rules of chess, but they work on the chessboard. When you go off the chessboard, different set of rules. So it's up to us to try to find the rules where we are, because when we played this game, what about the game of life? What about the game of biology? What about the game of the mind? Different set of rules, different chessboard. Let's explore that chessboard. Let's explore more about the rules.
Though it took years, Xenia authorities finally put a remorseless killer away and worked with a psychic to make sure he stayed there. Investigators had few leads and little evidence. Could a psychic lead them to the killer?
She did not just take me to the area. She took me within, 100 yards of James's house. So it was good. It was good.
The police needed evidence, and Natalie's family wanted answers. Both would soon be provided thanks to a psychic's stunningly accurate visions of the crime. The police called on psychics to help bring justice and closure for those left behind.
You know, 20 years ago when I started, DNA wasn't admissible. Polygraphs are still not admissible in the courts in Pennsylvania. So who am I to say that at some point psychics won't be admissible? It doesn't matter to me whether it's admissible in court. It matters to me if it helps us find good evidence that we can use to convict someone in a court of law. And whether that's DNA, polygraph, or a psychic, if it leads me to evidence that I can use for a conviction, I'm willing to do it.
Marty Baker and Michael Perry truly have psychic powers? Marty created matching sketches for half of our returning test subjects. As for Michael, all but one subject rated his accuracy during their readings at better than 70%. While there's no accepted scientific measure for psychic ability, those kind of numbers are difficult to ignore. In our judgment, this case is proof positive.
Exactly what remote viewing is. You have an ability to go into an altered state and to see another human being or anything else, or a person or a place or a thing distant in space-time, and to gather information about that.
Does remote viewing really work? There's no statistical method to judge the success of these remote viewers, but they did come up with at least 12 major hits, more than double what Morehouse had hoped for. Those numbers were more than enough to turn an impartial observer into a believer.
I have no concept of how this actually works. It's amazing to me. I mean, there was no way they knew what was going on here, where this person was going to be going. It kind of takes you away from the skeptical side a little bit and gives you more of that belief in the fact that the remote viewing technology is something that works.
Out of the 5 sets of twins, only one pair scored below chance. Significant evidence, according to Gary Schwartz, that telepathy can occur between twins.
We got policed. I think we were talking about the pharmaceutical, the science actually losing its way. Actually having lost the whole principle.
So the basic hypothesis that we've been looking about, as we talk about our ideas and our proof, beyond a shadow of doubt, a proof of a non-local universe. Our basic hypothesis is that the mind can affect things. The mind can affect things. It's a basic hypothesis. It's the key to what we've been talking about, as we've been proving this beyond a shadow of a doubt. The final proof that we want to offer here is this is our hypothesis: the mind can affect things. Thereby, when a researcher who really does not believe that the mind can affect things, when he sets up an experiment, he will get that type of result. His mind will affect things, and he will get the results that show that the mind does not. So you see that all of the research that has been there to disprove the ideas of the mind, that research actually has further validated and further proved the whole concept. Because when we explore the basic intent of those researchers, we will see that those researchers didn't want to get results. They were skeptical. And their skepticalness has affected their results. That's the concept, that's our hypothesis. The mind can affect things. The people who've wanted to get results have gotten results. We see this all the time. In not just thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of studies done all around the world. Belief systems, as we have shown you here, just a small smattering. And as we talk about a small smattering of this incredible evidence, we have to discuss something. If you have the hypothesis that white crows exist, you only need one. You only need one white crow to show that white crows exist. We only need one study to prove the mind affects things. And yet we have hundreds of thousands of them. Hundreds and thousands of them. The proof is here. And for the skeptics, every time that their studies show this, show the results that they wish, you see, those skeptics are further proving our proof. The Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Center, known as PAIR, has been existing for years and has done so many studies proving the non-local universe, the mind can affect things, proving this whole area. Incredible, incredible research at Princeton, established and shown, but yet people have poo-pooed it. People don't pay attention to it, even though it is quality research done in quality fashions, offering then in-depth, without question, proof. And when people of skeptical nature challenge those studies and do it a little different, they prove it as well, because their mind affects their results. Back in the 50s, 60s, as we started to explore ideas of biofeedback and many other different things like this, it was very interesting. They hired gurus, they had them do studies, and they found proof, they found evidence. But something happened. Something happened in science. Even though the proof of quantum physics, medicine, the double blind, the need for all these things that we've discussed, something happened in science to bury it, to suppress it. Something happened to twist and spin to push us away. When studies come out and people talk about these different things and they show different things, there is a dramatic, intense, almost violent reaction of crazed scientists who come out of the woodwork to try to yell and scream and to challenge and to twist and say, no, that's not really a UFO, and that's not really a psychic thing, and that's not a telekinesis. And they just are obsessed. As we've said, the lady doth protest too much. They have such incredible emotional fixation. It borders on mania, psychological, manic reaction. It is a psychological disturbance, an emotional intensity that's so incredibly, they attack all these different things. It exposes the neuron. You only really get upset when you try to defend a false belief. As we've shown and talked about many times, people get beliefs. People act on beliefs. Beliefs become more important than perceptions. And when they have invested a lifetime into a false belief that is then shown to be false, they struggle. They hate the messenger. They want to shoot the messenger. They want to attack that, because when they lose that false belief, it kind of means that they were stupid, investing all that energy in a false belief. When somebody comes along and pops that false belief and tells them what is really more true, is a violent, antagonistic reaction. When they have that reaction of learning about the false belief, great spirits get incredible resistance from mediocre minds. Max Planck, when he came up with the ideas of quantum physics, faced by the entire world of the thermodynamic principles, and even though he had proven this without any question, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they couldn't accept it. They wouldn't accept it. And as Max Planck had said, for a new idea to succeed, you must wait for all the old people to die. See, these old people who have their false belief, they don't want to be shown that they've spent their entire life believing in something that wasn't true. They cling to that false belief. And that clinging to the false belief becomes more important than life. More important than anything. Because then they might look stupid. So what they do to not feel stupid is they want to pass that stupidity off on somebody else. So thereby, what happened in our field of science years ago is that as people started to find out that they had a false belief of the way the universe worked, that they didn't believe that the mind could affect things, and when they were shown this proof and this thing that came to them, they had to pass off and call those people stupid. They would do research projects which would further validate the concept because they did not get the results. They got what they wanted, the failure. So those people passed this off as trite, and they started to make fun of the scientists who believed in this. Clinging to their false belief, they started to make fun, they started to do this. You couldn't get jobs, and that's what science finally turned into. Science is not really the search of truth anymore, science is the search of funding. Maintaining a job, keeping a job, and by believing in something that other people don't believe. Even in the face of proof, truth. False beliefs were so strong in the older people, and the older people always would have the higher jobs, got into the higher positions, and they made this impossible. They made it so that anything that was going into the field of the mind and how the mind might affect things, all of this would be dispelled, pushed away. They had to make sure that they could dispel this and push it away. They had to make fun of this. They had to cajole. They had to do something to deal with the cognitive dissonance that they had over their false belief. They had to maintain their false belief even in the face of truth. So they persecuted the scientists who believed in the mind, and one by one they gradually forced them to lose their funding and to give in to them, as that science and the media has twisted this. Twisted it so much to challenge the whole idea of what's happening here. Because they really have twisted this to a ludicrosity, to a breaking point. Is that now we must face the new type of technology that can come from a belief of a true, more true belief, that there is a non-local universe, and that a quantum system can affect this system, and that Bell's theorem is right. There is a connectiveness. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. There is a connectivity, a subspace, as I have put it, a place at one place and one way of analyzing the entire universe, that everything is still that one spot. So for the scientists who cling to that false belief, that system, I have a simple message. Me being the messenger, I have a sugar-coated, simple message for you, tactfully put, carefully constructed to not hurt in any way, to really tactfully just tell you, you fucked up bad, you fucked up real bad, how bad, so bad, incredibly bad. That mind affects things, it's proof, it's been proven over and over. I know you don't like this message, I know you don't like the way I deliver this message. That's why I'm taking it to the max, so that you can understand. Don't just be an idiot. Look, think, don't cling to a false belief. Ultimately, don't try to shoot the messenger, don't try to do this crap. Wake up, smell the coffee. Well, I hope that my little sugar-coated message was taken well and tactfully, in the way that it should be. They say that people sometimes listen more to the tone of the words than the actual words, and I hope that you take the message for what it needs to be. For science to progress, we must deal with releasing false belief systems. For science to progress, we must deal with progress into the quantum, into the abilities of transfer, vision states, beyond the thermodynamic, beyond the Newtonian.
systems of analysis, non-linear fashion, a new, open-minded idea. We don't want to cling to replicability. We want to realize that life isn't always repeatable. There's a fractal nature. There's don't know nature. But we've seen evidence that the mind can influence things very strongly. Our research needs to be in that direction. Our research needs to be more open-minded, more humble, more respectful. That is what this message is also about. Respect, open-mindedness. I know sometimes I have to resort to an intense message, but keep in mind the heart of the messenger. And I hope that you've learned something about the non-local universe.